you decide to take the food stamp challenge?
Well, I had been on welfare before, so I knew what it was like to try and survive on food stamps, but I wanted to be supportive of everyone who was doing it this time around.
And how has the experience been for you thus far, particularly considering you once experienced all of the aspects of being on food stamps, not just, you know, I'm trying it out for a week?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I found that my eating habits permanently changed back then. I still eat rice and beans, I still eat oatmeal for breakfast, and so really it didn't require that much adjustment. The biggest difference, well, the two biggest differences are that food is much more expensive now than when I was on welfare. And the second difference is that I don't have children to worry about. Many of the women that I knew when I was on welfare would go short themselves so that they could give their children more food.
How long were you on food stamps?
4 years. And the first year was the toughest. It took me a few months to learn how to budget myself so that I could survive.
And how was it that you came to be on food stamps or welfare? Because did you grow up in a family that was dealing with poverty, or did a particular instance happen where you had to get on food stamps and welfare?
Um, no, I didn't grow up in poverty. I grew up in a fairly well-to-do family, and went to I finished high school. I had a college degree. I got married. I had a baby, and then my husband abandoned me. And so I had a baby, and I had another one on the way. No job, no child support, no money, no savings, no health insurance for the baby that was coming. So I felt that I had no choice but to go on welfare.
I thought it was an important challenge. I think it was hard. It was very hard because, again, I would go into a store and I would look and see things that I would normally buy, but just having that limited amount of cash, it kind of made you think about whether you needed to have the cash for the next day. And you say, well, I'm not going to spend too much because I know I got to make this last me for the whole week, where normally you wouldn't even think about those things. It made me think about what needed to be go into the refrigerator to kind of hold over for maybe the next meal. Mm-hmm. So I think it was very important. It helped me be more sensitive to, and understanding of why it's so important for our government to do more to feed people who are less fortunate than some of us. It makes you realize how important it is to not waste food. Okay, and it makes you also be a little creative in how you mix your meals so that you can have one meal and maybe just with some alterations have that same meal the next day as leftovers. And one of the meals I created was, and I love tomatoes, so what I did was I took some tomatoes, sliced them up, put some salt and pepper on it, made sure I had some mayo, and I had me a nice mayo, tomato, and mayonnaise meal, and it just, it makes you think about that. That was enough to hold me because your stomach is not that big anyway. So I said, okay, but it wasn't, I would love to have been able to put some meat on it, okay? But, just something to get me over that hump until the next meal. And so you're more cognizant of that. So there was a situation where I saw one of my family members had left some food in a bowl, and I said, no, you can't waste that food. It makes you more conscious about those kind of things. So, so I think the food challenge is good. And I think, like I said, a lot of our government officials should really take the challenge themselves. And I think they would have a whole different thought about cutting those type of programs that aid people and feed people in our communities.